You have big dreams of losing weight and creating a healthy, joyful life. But you find yourself craving sugar, caught up in what the scale says, and diet hopping. Dieting is the old way of losing weight. And the good news is I'm going to give you a new way of eating so you can ditch diets for good and build a healthy relationship with real food. My name is Megan Olson, certified nutrition practitioner, creator of Skinny Fitalicious, and your host of the Dish on Diets show. Hello, friends. Today we're talking about why smart women quit weight loss. If you're new here, I'm not only a nutritionist who helps midlife women get healthy, lose fat, escape all or nothing diet and exercise patterns, and improve their relationship with food, but I myself have also lost 80 pounds after struggling with yo-yo dieting since I was a teenager. Up, down, up, down, up, down, until I finally got sick and tired of doing the yo-yo dieting things and doing silly things like only eating carrots and cantaloupe to try to lose weight. So when I finally got sick and tired of yo-yo dieting, I told myself I'm not doing diets anymore. I knew they just didn't work. I told myself I want to become somebody who's healthier and fitter. And I asked myself, well, what are the things that would help me get healthier and fitter? It seems so obvious, but for so much of my life, I never asked that key question. And what first came to mind was walking. I was working as a consultant in Torrance, California, and the beach was literally a 10-minute drive from my hotel. And I love the beach, so that's where I went to walk every night, and the rest is history. And the way that I lost 80 pounds and have kept it off now for 17 years was by making meaningful, permanent changes to how I was living my life, to my lifestyle, habits, routines, environment, my mindset. All those things created the result of me losing 80 pounds and now having kept it off for 17 years and helping midlife women do the same thing. But when I would try to lose weight, I would always say I'm on a diet, which to me meant restriction. But saying I was on a diet wasn't clear that I had to change the way I was living my life, my routines, my habits, my mindset to get healthier and fitter. It was just, I'm on a diet, which meant severe restriction in my mind. And the other thing I would do was be incredibly dismissive of how I talked to myself. In my career, I was very successful in my corporate career. I always showed up as confident. I had zero fear or reluctance of, doing large presentations and leading large teams. In one of my positions, in fact, I led a team of 20 people globally. None of that ever bothered me. I always knew I was capable and confident of doing those things. And I was confident that I could take on challenges and take on big projects in my career and could always talk up my skills in those areas to other people. But when it came to my health, no way, not so much. And no one ever said to me, hey, maybe part of the reason you're not succeeding with this weight loss stuff and getting healthier and fitter is how you talk to yourself. It's not very kind. It's not very encouraging or supportive. Now, maybe not for all of you. Maybe you're not like how I was, but I was, one day in my head just realized I had a bully in my head. My head wasn't the nicest and friendliest of places. That if somebody had planted a microphone inside my head and could hear the thoughts of how I talk to myself, I'd be really embarrassed. I wouldn't want people to hear that. And my client, Sarah, was on this podcast last year in episode 146, and she spoke about this being a key part of her journey. For her, she learned in our coaching time that she was really talking to herself like a jerk and was preventing herself from doing things because she was being a bully to herself, which is never motivating. And I find this to be so true of almost every single woman I've ever worked with. They have a bully internally and they don't even realize it's going on. Now, Before we dive further into today's podcast, if you've been enjoying this podcast, the Dish on Ditching Diets, if you have found it to be helpful, impactful to you in your life, one of the best ways you could give back would be to share any episode of this podcast that you found helpful on your social media. Just say, hey, this lady helped me and this podcast episode was really impactful. I would love to help more women in their weight loss journey. And I know so many women are trapped in the land of dieting and thinking this is just what it takes to be healthier and fitter and leaner. And the more women that we can expand this message to, that the crazy diets that we do are not in fact normal and not how you achieve the things that we want. So this could really be a pay it forward moment if you could just take a moment to do that. So getting back to the conversation, here's the thing. Most women, most midlife women think they're committed to their weight loss, but they're not. They have this illusion of commitment. And I'm very guilty of this myself, where I would trick myself into saying I was committed. But I would be super wishy-washy with what I was committing to. I'm on a diet or I'm on a health journey. That's what I would say. Yeah, but the actual goal is to lose some fat. But I didn't say that. But that's actually the goal. So you should say that. You should say what you want. Well, but I also want to be fitter. Okay. Then I say I want to lose some fat and get fitter, right? Well, I just want to feel better. Okay, then I'm going to say I want to be leaner, fitter, and feel better, right? Well, I also want to be stronger. Okay, so you want to be stronger, fitter, feel better, and be leaner. The point is, you need clarity on what you are trying to accomplish. If you don't have your objective clearly defined, it's really hard to commit to something. This is one of the things that's a telltale sign that a person isn't committed because they have nothing to commit to. Like, I'm on a diet. Like, what does that even really mean? A diet is just how you eat. So technically, no matter what you eat, you're on a diet. It's just this like vague, general, loosey-goosey concept of I'm on a diet. What I have begun to realize in myself and many other women that I've worked with in my 11 years as a nutritionist is we don't commit because when we make a clear commitment, it becomes very easy for us to potentially fail. You see, part of the reason why we don't commit and don't have clarity to something is because we avoid failure. If you don't commit, you don't have to fail. You don't have to feel like you fell short of your expectations. But then sometimes when we do commit, we get uncommitted with our language. We say things like, I'm trying to lose weight. I tried to do this. I'm trying to eat more protein. I'm trying to walk more. The phrase I'm trying is a psychological escape hatch. So you don't have to feel bad if you don't succeed or you don't meet your own expectations. You're kind of giving yourself an out. But the thing is, you're either committed to something or you're not. If you do partial commitment, this leads to all sorts of internal conflict mentally. Partial commitment will lead to a process riddled with self-sabotage. Commitment gives the mind a clear direction of where to go. I want to be fitter. One way to solve that is by walking more. There's other ways you can solve for getting fitter, but one solve is walking more. Okay, so now I'm committed to walking more. Think of it like finding a sunset. If I want to find a sunset, I should go outside and look west in the evening. If I want to find a sunrise, that's the wrong answer. If I want to see a sunset, I have to be committed to the destination of looking outside west in the evening. I have to get there. So you have to have a clear direction. Remember what I said in the beginning? I said, diets don't work. I'm not going to do that anymore. And I started to problem solve for, well, I want to be healthier and fitter. What are some things that might help me get healthier and fitter? Right? That's what led me into actually changing my habits versus focusing on just dieting and just losing weight. You see, most of our problem is we focus on just losing weight. Losing weight isn't the problem. Losing weight is a symptom of how you've been living your life. And so you have to change how you've been living your life in order to solve the weight problem. Now think of this in terms of weight loss and diets. If I want to be fitter, feel better, get stronger, lose some fat, Does it make sense for me to walk or move my body more throughout the day and learn how to eat balanced meals within my body's energy requirements? Or does it make sense for me to cut out all my fruits and vegetables, cut out oatmeal, cut out rice and beans, and just eat meat and exercise 2 hours a day for 30 days, or do Whole 30 for 30 days, or do 75 hard, or do Optavia, or do a shake program where I'm drinking 2 shakes a day and having one meal? You see, a lot of times we are looking in the wrong direction. That was totally me in my own health journey. I was always looking east when I should have been looking west. And I never stopped to think, how is only eating carrots and cantaloupe for a short period of time going to get me healthier, fitter, stronger, and feel better? Or how would taking these diet pills get me to that destination? Never, never, ever did I stop and question if I was looking in the right direction of where I wanted to go. But a large part of why I was looking in the wrong direction was I never made a clear commitment to what I wanted to change. I was always focused on just losing weight and doing whatever tricks I could do to get the scale to go down rapidly. And that clouded my judgment, and it also clouded my commitment to change. And listen, it is not easy to make a commitment because fear can get in the way. The need for certainty, the need for knowing how something is going to play out can really prevent you from making that initial commitment. People act differently, though, when they are committed than somebody who's just kind of wishy washy and trying to sort of maybe work towards this goal. I'm going to give it my best, shot until it gets too hard and then I'll stop. That's not commitment. You see, when somebody is committed, they will solve problems before they even show up, before the problems even arise. They're thinking ahead, planning ahead, because there's no daily debate. A great example that many of you might relate to is driving your kids to school. You made the commitment to drive your child to school every day. And so every day you wake up and you just do it. There's no debate mentally about, well, am I going to do it or am I not going to do it? There's no like, oh, I'm too tired. I'm too busy. I'm just not going to take you to school today. It's too cold. It's raining. Oh, and the cat's sick, or my boss ticked me off yesterday, so you're not going to school today, kid. No one does that. The commitment is I'm taking my child to school every day, no matter what. You see, when you're truly committed, you're removing any negotiation about quitting, about giving up, about just not doing it because you don't feel like it or the cat's sick, right? You get rid of all that debate of will I follow through or won't I follow through? I'm going to do it until I've got this thing figured out is more of what it becomes. You become more of a problem solver, so it's like, also think about it this way. Think about like you have been driving your child to school every day. Maybe your child was in elementary school last year, but this year your child is in middle school. So it's a totally different route to get to middle school. You have to now give yourself extra time to get there because you don't know exactly how that's going to go. So fast forward a few months, and now you've got a process and routine down to the minute. You know what to expect. You know how to do it because you did it again and 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 again. And you refined and fine-tuned things as you went along the way. The only reason you were able to do that was because you committed to showing up, and not doing it wasn't up for debate. Doing it was going to happen no matter what. It wasn't always going to be pretty. It wasn't always going to be perfect. It was probably a little messy at times getting out the door and getting your child to school on time. But the reason why so many midlife women struggle with making a commitment is because of fear. Fear of failing, fear of looking silly, fear of not knowing how to do something, fear of it being hard, fear of succeeding, fear of asking for help, fear of looking ridiculous, fear of how things are going to look and play out. You don't know how things are going to look. You want certainty, right? So your fear is like, well, I don't know how that's going to work out. Like, how am I ever going to get there? I want to be that person that goes to the gym effortless, but I don't know how I'm going to be able to do that. Understand fear is okay. There's nothing wrong with having fear. We all have fear. That's normal. But when you make a committed decision to move towards a goal of feeling better, getting stronger, losing some fat, improving your relationship with food, whatever it is, when you make a committed decision, fear becomes an irrelevant factor of whether or not you're going to do it. whether or not you're going to do something. Fear doesn't matter. You're going to do it. You're going to do something. I always say that something better than nothing, right? Not doing it isn't an option. When you have decided in your head what you are committed to working towards, and you have told yourself, I am not going to stop and I'm going to do something most days the best I can until I figure this out, until I figure out the routine, just like driving your child to a new school, right? I'm going to do it again and again and again and again and again and again. And I'm committed to doing it again, 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 again until I figure it out and get there. Your mind will stop arguing with you. The bully in your mind is the biggest problem because your mind keeps trying to talk you out of doing the thing that you want for yourself. But if you make wishy-washy, maybe kind of sort of commitment, your mind is not going to know exactly what you want, what the destination is, that you need to go outside and look at the sunrise and face west. And your mind's going to get really confused. You might say you're self-sabotaging, but you're not self-sabotaging. You're making a wishy-washy commitment with yourself. That's not to say self-sabotage isn't a real thing. It is. Commitment also exposes your excuses. It puts a big spotlight on them because excuses thrive in vague and ambiguity and wishy-washy commitments. Well, I'm going to try to walk this week. I'm going to try to exercise this week. I'm going to try to eat better this week. You see, all that vagueness with the I'm trying is ripe for excuse making. You have so many escape hatches with that. It will be so easy to make excuses with the I'm trying. There's no destination. There's no clarity there. You don't know what direction you need to face. Like, what days are you going to walk? What days are you going to go to the gym? What time of day? How are you going to make that happen? Who's going to watch the kids? Right? Imagine saying to somebody, I'm trying to be committed to my spouse. I'm trying to be committed to my marriage. That sounds really weird, right? Well, it's no different with your health. It sounds really weird when you say, I'm trying to walk this week, right? It'd be no different than saying, I'm trying to be committed to my marriage. It's the same thing. It's really weird. When you make a committed decision to yourself, the excuses become very, very obvious. And you begin to see how you have been blocking yourself mentally. You see, a commitment within yourself will cause you to take action when otherwise you would not take action. Because a lot of times we won't do something unless we think it's the right way or it's the perfect way or we're going to do it the right way and it's going to matter. And so I think it's important that not only do you commit to a destination, you commit to how you're going to get there. Sometimes we get focused on what it is that we want, but we do it with this perfectionist mindset that I have to be perfect or I have to do it just right or I have to get everything just right and know exactly how to do it. But when you don't get everything just right, you end up going into beat up mode. You beat yourself up in your mind because you're only committed to an outcome like the scale. You have to be committed to the process, to the journey of becoming whatever that commitment is. So for me, it was getting fitter and healthier. So I was committed to becoming fitter and healthier. Every day when I woke up, I was like, what am I going to do to continue working on being fitter and healthier? That was constantly the thought process in my mind. It wasn't, what am I going to do if the scale is up? It was, what am I going to do to get healthier and fitter? And a lot of the times it was the same stuff over and over and over and over again. But it wasn't a question of, can I be perfect today? Can I do it the right way today? Can I get it all done today? It wasn't a negotiation either. It was, oh, I'm busy today and I have really late meetings into the evening. I may need to go on my walk on my lunch hour today instead of after work. I was problem solving. I didn't give myself an out or an escape hatch and say, well, I was trying to walk today. I was trying to walk this week, but work meetings got in the way. No, in my mind, I was committed to being fitter and healthier. So I problem solved. I looked at my day and I said, when can I fit something in? It might not be my hour walk. It might only be 15 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever I could do was what I focused on doing. You see, a lot of times what people do is they're like, well, I can't do it the right way, the way that I typically do it, so why should I bother? And so then you just don't do anything. And then over the course of 365 days, yeah, maybe you got like 50 days where you did it perfectly, but 50 out of 365 days, that's not many days of consistency. Whereas if you, for 300 days, did something, even if it was 10 minutes or 15 minutes, if you did something for 300 days, you'd be way more consistent and that would be way more impactful for your health. But a lot of times we don't look at it that way. We're just like, oh, I'm busy today. I got really late meetings, can't do anything. I was trying to lose weight this week. I was trying to get healthier and fitter. I was trying to get a walk in, but work got in the way, right? So we allow ourselves to have that negotiation, but we never problem solve. I had to learn in my 80-pound weight loss journey how to problem solve and think ahead. And I tell my clients this all the time. All you have to do is problem solve. You have to think and become somebody who finds solutions, kind of like at your job. When there is an issue at your job, you find solutions. Are you always guaranteed they're the right solutions? No, but doing something and not just sitting there doing nothing is always going to be better, right? You see, when you commit to your weight loss journey, you see where it would have been really, really easy to find excuses to quit. A commitment to the process and the journey is best paired with a commitment of, I will not quit. And you need to understand the psychology around quitting. Think about how every weight loss journey ends. 100% of them end with quitting. They all end up with quitting. So if you think about how many times you have started over on a weight loss journey, if you have had to start over, that means you quit. At some point, you quit. Starting over means you quit. The question becomes, what made you quit? What happened? I mean, most women don't declare they're quitting. I'm quitting my weight loss journey. I'm quitting taking care of my health. They'll say, things like, well, I'm taking a break or I'm stopping, or they'll deflect to something that happened in their life. But always what happens is we sort of shift from I'm doing this and I'm committed to this, like I'm committed to taking my child to school, to I'm trying. I'm trying is code for I'm giving myself an out in case I quit. So if you're starting over, it began with quitting. What made you quit? Was what you were doing unsustainable? Were you changing too many habits and things all at one time? Are you being a bully to yourself in your head? Were you beating yourself up for not doing everything just right, just perfectly? Are you scared of eating and don't know what things to eat? Do you have a commitment, a clear one, but not a plan for how to make that happen? Women say all the time, I know what to do, I'm just not doing it. And that's always code for you have no plan for how to do these things and how to put it into action. Maybe you don't believe in yourself. Do you feel like you're not making progress and that's why you quit? What made you quit? This is a question you must take time to self-reflect on. What made you quit? When I asked myself why I quit, I found all kinds of things there. And one of the things was I was focused in the wrong direction. I wasn't solving the problem of becoming somebody who's healthier and fitter. I was doing weird diet plans that had me looking in the wrong direction. It never once crossed my mind that drinking 2 meal replacement shakes a day wasn't actually how you get healthier and fitter. And I also had this erratic way of eating when I was 215 pounds. I would eat an 80-calorie yogurt for breakfast with a Starbucks cafe mocha, and then a salad for lunch that had an apple and some walnuts on it, only to come home starving, eat a bag of chips out of the pantry, and order a Domino's pizza and eat almost all of it. I wasn't feeding my body properly earlier in the day, and it was leading to all this nighttime chaos eating. But mentally, That was what I thought I should be doing because mentally I was always dieting and trying to be good until at nighttime I would quit because I was so overly hungry because I wasn't feeding my body properly. I thought that was proper nutrition and it wasn't. So then I started over every Monday. I was always quitting at night because I didn't know how to feed my body properly. I had to learn how to feed my body in my weight loss journey. The other thing I realized when I asked my question of why I kept quitting was that I was living small. Here I was successful in my career, but I was living far below my capabilities in this area of life. Here I led teams, I traveled all over the globe, I ran all these major projects, I took on all kinds of challenges and learned new things, but somehow mentally, I always felt I couldn't learn to cook meals that I liked that had more nutrition in them or were less calorie dense. I always felt like I couldn't learn how to move my body or learn how to be somebody who exercises. Thinking back, it doesn't even make sense that I discounted my capabilities without ever questioning that. I believe so many of you are the same as me. You're resilient, capable, and have greatness within you, just like me. You can learn new skills and overcome challenges. And that's what a weight loss journey is all about. It's the process of relearning how to take care of yourself for the rest of your life, how to create new habits, new routines that work for your lifestyle and personal preferences, how to problem solve and think ahead and adapt to everyday challenges and be flexible. We often go on a weight loss journey thinking we have to have all that figured out. And then when we're not perfect, the bully in our mind attacks us and then we quit. When really the entire process of losing weight is a learning process. And if you deny yourself the learning process, then maybe that's why you're always quitting and starting over. I know you may not be where you want to be in your weight loss journey yet, but that's not because you're not capable of being successful. It's your hesitation and settling for good enough that's getting in the way. You don't like how you feel now, but where you are now is good enough. And that's how you're justifying it. You're getting by in your mind. Diet means restriction, like it did to me. Diet means restriction and misery. So getting by and settling for good enough is way better than restriction and misery. So you're settling. The goal of becoming healthier, fitter, stronger, leaner, and feeling better is not about misery, or no one would ever do it. And yeah, it might take you some time to get all the pieces figured out, but that's okay. The more you dilly dally, the longer you're going to make an already long journey of transformation. And in the grand scheme of things, it really isn't that long. A client said this to me recently. I thought I'd be further along by now. And I think she's been in coaching like 3 or 4 months. And I said, well, how long have you been dealing with all these issues? And she said, 40 years. And I told her, if this takes you 2 years, that is nothing compared to the 40 years that you have been struggling with food and your weight. And that was exactly the perspective shift she needed. It's also the perspective shift you must make if you're blocking yourself because your fear of how long this might take. So what? So what if it takes you a bit of time to figure this out? You're going to start feeling better about yourself and getting fitter immediately once you start. Delaying getting started is delaying feeling better about yourself, getting fitter, getting stronger. Every day that you wait, you're delaying feeling better and taking actions towards your goal. You're missing out on feeling your best. And I think back to when I was over 200 pounds, I never could have imagined feeling this good. If somebody would have told me, Megan, you're going to feel so good, be your strongest self in your late 40s, better than you ever felt in your 20s, once you commit to this journey, I never, ever would have believed them. But that's exactly what has kept me committed to this journey for the last 17 years. I think sometimes we don't give ourselves enough of a chance. We're bullies to ourselves, and it's easy to put all your time and effort and focus into your family and your job so you could avoid yourself, avoid working on yourself and towards what you really want for yourself and feeling your best. It's hard to commit to being a beginner at something and accepting that small steps gradually over time are how you make this transformation happen. It's hard committing to that 10-minute walk every day. Most people every January go to the extreme of trying to do 10,000 steps every day, but they only last 14 days. And then the rest of the year, they're barely getting any steps. Ironically, if you just committed to 10 minutes of walking every day for the entire year, that would be way better and get you way stronger than 10,000 steps for 14 days. Heck, if you even did just a 10-minute walk 300 days of the year, you would feel better and get stronger, and that would be way better. The hardest part is committing to that small thing and then showing up and not quitting and doing whatever it takes for as long as it takes again and again and again and refining it over and over and over again. I promise you, the small things do matter, and they do add up over time. And the goal is, once you commit, do not quit. Do something versus nothing. But it all begins with you having clarity and committing to the journey and the process and not settling for good enough anymore. And if you're somebody who's ready to stop settling for good enough, I can help you. And I know you might not believe in your ability to get there now, but I know I can help you. And I know, just like me, you're successful and resilient, and you can do this. With the right help, the right guidance and support, the right mindset, you can do this. And if you're ready to stop settling and you're ready to do this, go to the link in the show notes, schedule a free consultation with me, and I'll talk to you about how I can help you achieve realistic habits, improve your relationship with food, feel better, get fitter, and lose fat permanently. Ladies, I'll talk to you soon.
Hey, if you enjoyed this podcast, you have to come check out my free weight loss class. It's the 5 steps to lasting weight loss, how hormones impact weight loss, and the truth about lasting weight loss without relying on willpower, workouts, or deprivation. Click the link in the show notes to watch that free class today. And if you are a woman over 35 with 20 to 50 or more pounds to lose, schedule a free weight loss breakthrough session with me after you watch that class. And let's talk about your 20 to 50 or more pound weight loss plan.